This is our new member of the band. What's your name?
Tessa.
Tessa's coming on the road with us.
Go for it.
Who are you? What band is this?
Arctic Monkeys.
Oh, your name!
Yeah, we
The bloody liar! Get some of the damn stories and that.
called No Hot Ashes from Manchester.
And obviously you've got the debut album that's come out. You're now like quite a part of the music industry. What surprised you most about the music industry since you've gotten into it?
How little money there is.
There's no money in the industry, man. It's like you used to see Black Sabbath and Zeppelin on their own jet planes and stuff like that.
There's a lot of money you hear about.
Yeah.
You don't see any of it.
But Adele's got it.
Yeah, she got it
all.
And Ed Sheeran.
I've heard she's got 90% of the money that we're supposed to have.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
She wrote the album.
You wrote her album.
And I'd say there's so, you know, everyone always goes, there's lots of snakes in this industry. You don't realise how people are snakes.
You think they're just saying it because like they've heard other people say it, but it's very true.
It is, and people are always looking for ways to get you out, even if it's on the small things. So just anyone who's coming up, I'd say just be cautious who you deal with and stuff like that.
I mean, with the debut album, Hardship, Starship, you know, there's a lot of space references in the title and littered about the album. At what point did that kind of become an idea, and was that more natural, or did you kind of start off with that and then have the idea to start working it?
I think it was like, the idea of having space themes through the music's always been something, like we released a song called Cool Cat, and the whole idea of that and premise of that was about space. And I remember...
Stemmed from there, really.
Yeah, and the name Hardship Starship comes from that song. So like, it's just kind of building on what we already had in place. And like, I've always been a big sci-fi fan, and I write a lot of the lyrics, and I just thought it'd be fun. Do you know what I mean? It was just something I could metaphorically link a lot of what I was trying to say to.
It's like an escape, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was kind of there, and then at times it was the thing that helped me write songs, but really it was already there. We knew the album would be a bit spacey before we got started, I think.
What other themes do you kind of think are key to the album when it kind of woven throughout it?
I think relationships, especially, and yeah, not just to do with, you know, intimate relationships, but like relationships with your family, relationships with your friends and things like that seem to be sort of key within it.
It's just the other word in the title, isn't it? It's the hardship side of it.
Yeah.
So you've got the space theme.
And that's it, like and that's what comes into it, because who does it affect? The people that you love the most around you. So I think that's kind of it. It's like, it's my hardship, but it's everybody else's hardship who knows me, and
we're all together on it.
And we're all together in it, kind of thing.
On a big starship.
We're all gonna fuck off on a starship. Yeah, that's the idea. I think.
The name says a lot, really. I was really happy with it.
I was happy with it, other than the fact that no one can say it.
No one can say it very well.
Hardship
Starship.
Especially if it's like a live radio thing and you've got to say it. He tried to avoid it, or he just say off the new album.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not getting like.
But we like that name. It's a good name.
And I mean, like, when you were in the studio, obviously working on it, what were kind of the trickiest parts of the album that you spent the most time on and the most time getting right?
I think like, I mean, there was a lot of writing that went into it prior to even getting near a studio, do you know what I mean? And there was like a few songs there that took years to get completely right, do you know what I mean? And ideas that maybe been sat about for a while that we'd not released yet because we weren't completely happy with them, that we got to get done, kind of thing.
The
so
process was good.
The process in the studio was we just got stuff done because we knew what we wanted to do before we got in there. But yeah, I'd say the build up, the whole writing process, that's where we sort of hit the most kinks.
The foundations of it. I mean, the actual time in the studio is probably the best time we've had.
Yeah.
I spent about 2.5 weeks just every day just hammering it, and everything went really well.
Yeah, nothing went wrong.
In the actual studio,
Yeah.
It was really good. Very good experience.
I mean, one of the things that I love most about the album is the guitar sounds on it and the way they sound, the way they feel. How long did it take to kind of get them right, and how does that process work? Can you hear it in your head, or is that a lot of fiddling about with effects?
I'm going to let Louis speak because it's his time to shine, really. But I would just say the amount of effort that he puts into like getting sounds to sound right before we get in the studio, and the way he plays with his board and all that shit, I don't give a shit about any of that. So I'm glad someone in the band does. Do you know what I mean? And you speak.
I think a lot of it, you have this thing in your head when you go in, and it might not necessarily be right for the producer, and you're gutted, but you work on it for like half an hour before you do your take, and you just find the perfect sound for that track. Every track's been different. Like me and Isaac did not use the same tone on every track or anything like that. We just took every song on its merit and tried to make it as interesting as we could.
Yeah. Well, there's a few prevalent. What was that pedal that I really liked?
Strymon.
The Strymon. We used loads of Strymon effects, which we couldn't afford, but the studio had. So I remember when I got there, I was having loads of fun playing with all the different tones.
It's like a big toy store.
And it's not something I usually do. Do you know what I mean? So it was nice to fiddle a little bit. And,
that's it. You get inspired on the day. Like producer Chris just had loads of gear for us to use. So
and loads of ideas
nice.
as well.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen back to the album now, compare when you heard the first finished mix, does it feel different when you hear it now, and do you think different things about it at all? Or
if you over listen to it, it'll send you mad.
I think that it's hard because they always say artists hate their own work and stuff, and I think there's always going to be an element of you doubting things and saying we could have done this, that or the other, but what's the point, because that's what we did at the time, and I am actually really proud of everything we did. So fuck it, it's a good album, isn't it?
And it's going down well at all the tour shows,
and it's fun to play live really as well good. Like, it's just so fun to play live.
It is.
You don't have to worry about anything, and you can just have fun with it. You don't have to stress free.
It's good.
It is a great album. If there was one thing you could go back and change, what would you change?
It's hard to say, and if I'm honest, I've not given it enough thought, because if I gave it too much, there's 1,000 things I go back and change, but I don't think I'd ever get to an end of a project and think anything different. So
it's like now live, like some of the songs were just changing slightly live and adding little bits in, and
and sometimes you don't realise what changes you need until you get into a live set and you're like, actually that flows much better than that fitted.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Where did you come from? Joe.
Woo! Aberdeen.
And one last question to round off. If there was a piece of advice you could give to yourself before you started out in the band, now looking back, what would it be?
Get a job, son.
Don't start a band. Ruin your life.
Look at yourself.
Consider some things.
Look at me now. Do you want to end up like this?
Honestly, that's where I'll end it. Have I got any
what was
advice?
the question again?
Have we got any advice that you give to your younger self that wasn't this dickhead that we all are now?
I'd say we started from really young and just grafted for years and years, and like learnt a lot of lessons along the way. I think a lot of bands now are like getting it right before they even go to live.
And that's what I do.
And
if I could go back now,
first time.
I wouldn't come out at age 15 just trying my best to scrap a few songs together. I would have waited until I was like ready, and we'd been sat in a practice room for 2 years together, and we were 1,000% sure that what we were doing was relevant enough and all that shit. Go out and do it again.
There's a lot of blazing eyes.
You can say all this, and there'll be a million bands that.
Trouble.
There's a million bands that'll say I wish I did this or that differently, and you never know how it would have gone if you'd gone the other way. So who gives a shit?
Yeah.
We're glad we're here.
You can apply that question to anything in life.
Yeah, it's true. What would you?
What if? Don't think what if, because
it'll fuck you up. What ifs fuck you up.
They do.
They do.
Drive you insane. Mate.
Yeah. Hiya.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
No worries,
Cheers,
mate.
Thank you very much.
Nice one.